Okay, I want to do more of this. I want to see more of this wonderful board meeting.
For individuals with numbers 9 and 10, please come forward and state your name.
Do we leave these here?
Is there someone else here? Jessica? So please state your full name.
Hi, Micah Paul Bryant. A month ago, we asked to honor silence, to trust that silence holds answers to the difficulties we're going through. And I'd asked in a moment that we would do that again. 3 months ago, we began a fellowship with a group of passionate people with many differences, but we agreed that over these last 3 months, we'd focus on this fare increase and a better transit system as the way to empower ourselves as servants in our community. The artist Jose Gonzalez sings to us these words: "We are the light that travels into space." The truth that we are goes all over, and I'm speaking to all. The problems begin within us, and they need all those outside of us. We have, since this last month, thought a lot about what we heard, and we're excited because whether direction the vote goes, we're knowing that there is a movement of people who are not just focused on a free transit system, but a free world. And we are knowing that we're in a room of people of love and of freedom and that great passion to care. That is what love is. It's health desire. Working with some of the most hurt people in the city is one of the most difficult challenges. And knowing that a free transit system could benefit them, but also provide intense opportunities for resolution and reconciliation is also something we're aware of. So please keep these in mind. Thank you.
Thank you, Micah. Jessica?
Hello, my name is Jessica Elsie Haggerty, and I am a friend of just in the community, and I'm here on behalf of all of us. I want to thank you for all of you guys getting in this position. As someone who is right now, I have gone through quite a journey for slipping through the cracks of someone who is part Native American, someone who's Irish. I've had trouble getting into schooling, and I also can't imagine how I can imagine how hard this job can be, and I appreciate you guys coordinating all the trains and the systems. I've been a dispatcher, I've worked with sales, I've been a care provider with the state of Oregon, mandatory reporter. I've worked in repair sales I've led to situations and jobs where I've gotten a scar on my hand where I've relied upon other systems. And one of the important things I'd like to bring up is that either that the 280 or the 560 with those are going to be broken down in dimes, and for disability access with the fingers could be difficult with carrying change. So if there could be an increase to maybe $3 or just leave how it is at 250 or maybe 275, just decrease it by 5 cents so it's easier holding change. And for that, I also, as someone who wants to be a part of the community of Oregon for a long time, I imagine it can't be easy to own a house or pay for the services. So one day I hope taxes could pay for a free TRIMET system, but until then, there needs to be some sort of middle ground. And having say that, there is just an opportunity where we can come together and forge. Everyone said it, but just trying to find revamping. So it's dangerous. So I've been on TV Highway because the new job. There's not a lot of safe places to stay and wait for buses. So if there was more communication, if there is an increase, there will be services that help. And then on top of that, just to make sure that everyone has access to the resources so their day is not going to be, they're not struggling for that extra few dimes. Thank you.
Thank you, Jessica. For the two individuals on numbers 11 and 12, please come forward.
My name is Diane Meisenhelder. During March and April, you heard testimony from large numbers of people opposing the fare increase, which will result in decreased ridership, increased traffic congestion, increased air pollution, and hasten climate chaos. Your studies and their testimony spoke to the huge equity and climate justice issues underlying today's decision. A fare increase will pose hardship for many low-income, working poor, elderly, and disabled riders. My partner, who uses transit daily for work, noted how illogical it is to keep passes at the same rate while charging more for those who barely scrape by and can't afford an annual or monthly pass up front. In talking about stops with folks who had no idea that fares could increase by 12%, I was heartbroken to see the anger and frustration folks had hearing the news for the first time, then immediately watching that energy turn to hopelessness and despair. Try it yourselves, going out and honestly talking to lower income working constituents on their way home at any of the East Side hubs. For the TRIMET Board, this is really not an agency fiscal responsibility issue because multiple proposals have been put forward for alternative funding sources that have not been fully explored, and fares are not a long-term reliable funding source as we've seen in the recent past. Nor should you vote out of fear of the clients you serve. We were shocked last month to see the expensive security levels surrounding the meeting, but even more so to walk towards the bathroom and see a whole group of various branches of law enforcement in the wings when folks were merely providing testimony and expressing their First Amendment rights. In place of fear, TRIMET should provide strong leadership for compassionate, equitable solutions to address mental health and houselessness issues in a collaborative and positive way with other local and state leaders. These are critical times, both in terms of democracy and equity, but also in which we need to cut emissions in this critical next 7 years in half. There's no way that's going to happen unless we have courageous public leaders who are willing to take the steps necessary to secure our futures from unthinkable consequences if we fail to heed climate science and refuse to act for both climate and justice. We urge you to vote against this fare increase today as cities around the world and the country are moving towards fareless systems. The time is now. The public has been clear, and you have the power to move in a better direction. You must show the courage and do the right thing. Please.
Thank you. Thank you, Diane, for your comments. Kristen?
Good morning, board members. My name is Kristen Sartor, and I live in Mr. Keith Edwards' district. As a transit-dependent person, I am on the bus a lot, And most days I see people who can't afford the fare. It happened literally on the way here. I saw a man get on the bus, and he told the driver, "I'm just going a few stops. I don't have any money," and the driver let him on. I don't know what will happen for the rest of his day. I see people all the time stressed about their 2.5-hour pass running out, checking their phones, checking their watches, not feeling like they can pay a whole day pass. I see people paying in quarters, paying in dimes, just being let on the bus, then in fear of the TRIMET security officers giving them a ticket, which they also can't pay. So there are people who already cannot pay their fare right now. And everyone needs access to transportation, no matter how much money we have or we don't have. People have to go to school, they have to go to work, they have to get groceries, they have to go to healthcare appointments. These things are not negotiable. I understand that in the minds of the board, and that it seems like raising fares by a few cents probably just feels reasonable. It just feels logical. Everything else is going up in cost. But that's the thing. Everything else is going up in cost, and the people are really going to be hurt by this. There are single parents out there fighting for raises and only being able to get a 50-cent increase, if anything. There are families that are already struggling to literally keep their utility lights on, eating beans and rice every night because they don't have enough money to pay for balanced meals. All of these cost increases disproportionately hurt poor people, and I know you guys don't have the power to address all of this, but you do have the power to influence the fare. You guys have an opportunity right now to say no to yet another economic attack on low-income people. Instead of squeezing more money out of people who don't have it, you can, as many have said before me, including Representative Van Pham, you can look seriously at other ways to generate revenue for our transit system. Yes, this is maybe the simplest way, but there are much, much better, sustainable, long-term ways to increase revenue for the very important TRIMET system. You could raise the business payroll tax on the highest earners, for example. Regarding the mitigations, these are only effective if the most marginalized and struggling people know they exist and how to benefit from them. As of right now, we know that's simply not the case. For example, a HOP card that caps out at a certain dollar amount a month doesn't help people who don't have a HOP card or understand why a HOP card would be different than other methods of payment. Please vote no on the May proposal. Don't increase our fares. Fund fareless transit. Thank you.
Thank you, Kristen, for your comment.
It's so heartbreaking listening to these excellent testimonies and knowing that that board doesn't care what you think. It's just heartbreaking.
The two individuals with numbers 13 and 14, please come forward. And please introduce yourself.
We are both 14, so we don't know where 13 is.
You don't know where 13 is? I think. Oh. Here, welcome.
Hi. Okay, where's the green? There's the green light. Cool. Hi.
Good morning. Please state your name.
So my name is Bard Folk, and I just wanted to chat for a sec, because a lot of people are using college words to convince you to not do this to us. But I use the bus because I may not look like it, but I'm disabled. I had a hard time writing this morning because my hands shake. And my partner, Elsie, talked about the dimes thing. And that was brought up because after the last board meeting, I literally dropped my change into the rail and I can't get it out, and that's scary. And I can't hold dimes. It's a ridiculous, I know you did math, but you didn't think all the way through to the human problems. And that's the issue that we're trying to get to. I just want to paint a picture, because this has happened to me, even though we have quarters. We talked about how the buses let folks on because you don't want to strand people in the middle of nowhere. On the 57 line, out by Sunset Esplanade, the eastbound line, there's not really a way to get a wheelchair over there at all. There's not a sidewalk. It's a stick by the road with no light and no pavement. And I have been stuck with my cane in the rain behind my friends with wheelchairs and power scooters and things, as they also drop their stuff because it's hard to be disabled. And it takes forever, and then everyone is late. And it's not our fault. because there are hot passes on the streetcars. There's the tap thing is on the streetcar, right? If you miss the bus, if you miss the max, you can get on there and actually swipe it. There's not a way to get on the bus in time
That's a great point. Great point.
and not make everybody else late and not fumble through everything. The best way for me to be able to get onto the bus and get there in time is to not have to worry about that. And I know the hot pass is supposed to make it better, but it's $3. You have to hunt down how to get it. You can only physically refill it at certain places like downtown, which should be easy to get to, but it's not for everybody. Even though TRIMET and the city back in the day restructured the entire waterfront to stop being a freeway, and now we have the waterfront Tom McCall Park, and the middle of town didn't used to be the Portland Living Room. We didn't have the plaza that we have now, and we made those changes, and everybody benefits from them. The honored citizen stuff, the right to care stuff, it's a Band-Aid. And as somebody who needs more than Band-Aids, I ask you to listen to other folks and not raise fares at the very least. And make it.
Thank you, Bart. Thank you.
Fabulous testimony. Just fabulous.
Good morning, President and board members. My name is Bongani Ikaning. I'm with my colleague Odette. We are students at Portland State University, and we are international students. We've been following the conversations on fare increase, and we thought of a way that we could contribute to the conversations. So we are here to present findings on the survey that we took from the Portland State University international students.
Thank you.
Yes, we conducted a survey of 900 international students at PSU, and nearly 10% of the respondents, that's what we'll be presenting to you today. And we found that 38% respondents are financially supported by their families, 25% receive scholarship, while 20% have a bank loan from their country. So my colleague will carry on with our findings.
Thank you, Bongani. So like Bongani said, that we conducted a survey of international students and we got 90 responses. And I checked with my professor who teaches data analysis, and he says that's a fair representation because we sent it through email to everyone. So we believe that the numbers that we see here, and we've shared the report with you, are a good representation of a lot of students at PSU who have come from outside the US. So there's a bunch of graphs just to show you that, like the kind of questions we asked. So I won't go too much into those, but what I want to show you is that some of the questions that we asked around expenditure. And first of all, it was interesting that when we asked them how they pay for transit, 35% said Hop card, 29% said they used the Honored Citizens card, but then 21% said they use cash. So we believe that there's like a lack of outreach by TRIMET and by our university to make the students aware about the options they have. And this is also reflected on the third page. In the question of, are international students aware about fare increase proposal? And 81% said they're not. So we believe that it is curious that you would consider increasing the fare if 80% of the students at the university are not aware of it. And when we asked them how they would feel about the fare increase, 60% of them said that their expenses would go up or they might have to use TRIMET less, which I don't think is the goal of this. Finally, on the last page, I have some testimonies from students when we asked them how they would feel about the Honored Citizens program, being able to use it. And they said things like, that would serve me 3 more meals a week, or I can have more decent food, or I can buy more stationery for my education. And someone said, I would use TRIMET more, and I think that should be the goal. And And this was in response to the question of how they would feel about having access to an honored citizens card. I feel like everyone who wants to use transit or does use transit here is an honored citizen. I don't know why there's a distinction. So if that's how they feel about reducing fares, that they can have purchase more meals, it doesn't make sense to me that you would want to increase fares, you know. Yeah.
Yes, I think we are. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for your information.
Well, I don't think I've ever seen such fantastic testimonies. I mean, I've been watching this stuff for years, and I've never seen this quality of intellectual, well thought out, well presented testimonies. And here's Ozzy trying to put forth the argument that these people are being paid $700 to come here, which is a bogus argument, Ozzy. I'm sorry. Why did you bring it up? You part of some psyop? It's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. And even if they were, that's how this entire country works. You don't think that the Koch brothers hire people to demonstrate, or you don't think George Soros pays people to come out and do activities? Yet you're pointing the finger at a little place like Opal. It's pathetic, Ozzy.